Hi everyone. One of the most important ways that you can speed up your own programming is by getting better at debugging, and that's what this lesson is going to be about. This is a test setup, which I'm hoping you'll copy and paste into your own IntelliJ setup. I've got a main method and I'm creating a test array, and this is the reverse method that we worked on in class, which is just supposed to reverse the order of the elements. I save the result into the answer array, and then I print out what the answer is. So if it worked, I would expect this to display 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When I actually run it by clicking on the green arrow here and saying run, you'll see down here that it doesn't. It displays 4, 1, 2, 5, 3. So let's take a look and figure out what's going on. Novices at debugging do two things. One thing they do is stare at the code, hoping that something's going to jump out at them as being wrong. That's not bad. Like, sometimes you can do that for 30 seconds and you actually might see something that's wrong. But if you don't see it within 30 seconds, just staring at it isn't going to help. The second thing that you shouldn't do is just start randomly changing things and running it over again to see if that change happened to fix it. It's going to feel terrible. It's going to take hours and hours. That's definitely the wrong way to debug. So here's a good general way of thinking about the right way to debug. When this method runs, it's going through some kind of process. You need to be super clear in your own mind about what the process that you expect to see looks like. So if you could actually watch it happening step by step, you should have some expectation about what that process is. That's your algorithm. If you don't have a very clear sense of what you want it to do, you can't possibly debug it. So that would be the first step, is be really clear with yourself about what values do you expect the variables to be, like what's going to happen step by step. So then, if you know what you want it to do, it would be really convenient if you had a way of actually watching it run step by step so that you could compare what was actually happening to what you expect to be happening. There's a tool called the Debugger that lets us do this, and I'm going to show you how to use it right now. So click in the margin here. Oops. For me, it's line 14, and it's the first line inside the reverse method. It added this big red circle and highlighted it. This is called a breakpoint. What it means is that when we run the program in debugging mode, it's going to pause the execution right on that line, and then we can run one line at a time and actually look and see what the variables are. So here's what that looks like. You hit the bug here to run it in debug mode. And what's happened now is the code's actually running, but you see it's highlighted on this line, and that means it's actually paused on this line. You'll also notice that it's added some text on the right-hand side here. It says test array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up here it also says test array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the current value of the test array variable right now when the code is paused. So what we want to do now is we want to go one step at a time through the code and watch what happens as we do. So the way you can do that is by clicking this button here. I hovered over it. It says step over. So let's step, 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 step. Okay, so I've gone through one iteration of the for loop, and I want to look and see in my test array. So right now it says 4, 2, 3, 1, 5. And you can see that the 4 and the 1 are highlighted in red. So if I think what happened when I ran those 1, 2, 3 lines, let's see, it used to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like what happened is I swapped the numbers here and here. I swapped the 1 and the 4. So now I'm thinking, is that what I was expecting to happen? And the answer is definitely not. The algorithm that I had in mind here, I was supposed to swap the thing in index 0 with the last element. Then the next time through the for loop, I wanted to swap the thing in the index 1 with 1 less than the last element, and so on. So it seems like I swapped with the last thing. So already we found where it's going wrong. I know it's going wrong somewhere in here, and I have to think about why is it doing that, and how do I change it to do what I want it to do. Well, right away I see, okay, so I was 0 as I was running through this, and it looks like I'm swapping the thing in test array 0, because I is 0, with last minus 1. Well, up here it says last is 4, because I did array.length. My array's length is 5. I subtracted 1, so that means 4. And that makes sense, because I want to be pointed at get the last index, which is in fact 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the last variable is pointed at the last index 4, which is what I want. But now I'm swapping the thing in index I, which is 0, with 4 minus 1 is 3. So that explains why I saw what I saw. This is index 0, this is index 3, and I swapped them. So instead, I didn't want to have this negative 1. I'm going to stop it by hitting this red box. So I could do this. And now I know if I run it, it's definitely going to swap the first and last elements. In fact, let's do it and watch that happen. So I'll click the debug. Now it's paused. I'm going to go one line at a time. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's step 1, 2, 3. And now you can see, aha, I have swapped the 1 and the 5. It's worked. But if I keep going, look what's happened now. Now I've swapped this element with the last element. So it's gone wrong again. The first time through the loop, I swapped the first element with the last element, but now I want to swap the second element with the second to last element. But instead I'm stuck always swapping with the last element. And the reason why is because I is going up by 1 every time through the loop, but this one isn't changing. This one is always just last. So what I really want to do is I want to subtract whatever number loop I'm on. So the first time through the loop, I'm subtracting 0. The next time through the loop, I is 1, so I'll be subtracting 1, and so on. So let's stop it again and watch it go. Oh, oops, I just ran it. So it looks like it's still not working. I've got 5, 4, 3, 4, 4. So let's run it in debug mode again and see what's happening. So I'll step, step, step. Oops. So that's worked. I've swapped 5 and 1. Still didn't work. I swapped this the first index 1 with the last one. Oh, it's because I forgot to change it here also. So it's important not to get buried in individual lines of code. Think about the whole block. What's the purpose of this pattern? It was to do a swap. And then think about what are all the things necessary to complete that pattern. Okay, let's run it one more time in debug mode. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm running it. Great, I've swapped the 5 and the 1. Let's run through another loop. Great, I've swapped the 4 and the 2. Let's run through another loop. I've swapped the 3 and the 3. But wait, it's continuing to run. Oh, now I've swapped the 4 and the 2 again, so now they're where they used to be. Oh, and so now I've finished the loop, but they're in their original ordering again. So that shows me the second bug. The second bug is I don't want to loop all the way through the whole array, because that swaps everything, but then it swaps them all back again. So what I really want to do is I want to stop when I reach the halfway point. So I'm going to not keep going until I'm not going to keep going as long as I is less than the length of the array. I'm going to keep going as long as I is less than the halfway point of the array. So that's the last bug, and now if I run it, you can see that it successfully swapped the way that we're supposed to. And now that I'm done, I'm going to remove the breakpoint by clicking the red circle. So the point of this wasn't so much to show you this particular problem, because we're never going to look at this problem again. You're going to solve new problems every single day. The point of this was to illustrate the thinking process. You need to know the algorithm in your head so that you know what to expect. Then you can set a breakpoint and you can watch to see if it's doing what you expect, and then that will help you isolate the exact lines of code that are going wrong from what you expect them to be doing. Okay, I hope this has helped. Good luck.